If you ask most people if they wanted to watch a 3-hour movie about a stock trader, I think they'd probably pass. You throw in Leonardo DiCaprio and open your movie like this.
1, 2, 3!
You make $398 million. No, it didn't quite hit the highs of Iron Man 3 or Fast and Furious 6, but you remember those movies because they're part of franchises. But this film, this has gone much bigger. I don't think any other film since 2013 has had the cultural staying power of The Wolf of Wall Street. And I think you can really tell with the memes. Bear with me. See, everything about The Wolf of Wall Street is technically a prestige drama. It's a Leonardo DiCaprio film, directed by Martin Scorsese, written by the guy who created Boardwalk Empire. It got nominated for 5 Oscars, and it's the funniest movie of the decade. When you think comedy, you don't think Leonardo DiCaprio, you really don't think Martin Scorsese, but this movie is hilarious. Yes, everyone talks about how wild it is and the marching band through the office, but the comedy is what we quote. The comedy is what makes this 3-hour movie feel like 2. Yes, we know these guys are bad people, we know they're doing bad things, but they're just so much fun to watch. And that's part of why this movie got in a bit of controversy when it came out. Back in 2013, there was a subset of critics who really took issue with the film. They said it was pointless, immoral, overindulgent, and that it glamorized criminals, because it showed them having so much fun. And that's because those guys were having fun. Part of the honesty of the film is that when things were going right, it was a riot. That's why they were doing it. The entire film is about people living without consequences or caring about how it affects other people. But I think most people agree that just because a movie is showing something, that doesn't mean the movie agrees with it. Which is why I think the critics are wrong about the movie glamorizing it, but I think they were right about how it would be publicly consumed. Because without something clearly and explicitly saying, this is wrong, people will assume that this is a sincere endorsement of that behavior. But even if a movie is wrong, immoral, corrupting the culture, it might be a big deal for that moment, but the majority of movies, their relevance fades out right after that initial release. I mean, this is what a meme looked like in 2013. How often do you see something like this anymore? These things move on, and so did the outrage about The Wolf of Wall Street. But the movie kept going. We're still talking about it, still watching it, and weirdly, there's still a lot of memes about it. I mean, you've definitely seen this, or this, or this, or this. And look, Leonardo DiCaprio is a massive movie star, so of course a lot of memes, a lot of culture is going to reference him in some way. But if you spent any time on the internet, you'll probably have seen someone unironically post this.
I'm not fucking leaving!
See, in the last 10 years since this movie came out, stock trading moved from something just reserved for the guys on Wall Street to something everyone could access on their phone. And there's nothing inherently wrong with that. But now when people think stocks, when they think Wall Street, they think of this movie. Yes, movies can be popular and something people still talk about, but this movie became interconnected with how the internet, at least, talks about money. If you've ever scrolled through the Wall Street Bets subreddit, a somewhat crazed internet forum of people gambling on the stock market, you'll have seen all sorts of GIFs, memes, people quoting the movie. A lot of it is wrapped up in this ironic, we don't actually know what we're doing rhetoric, but again, without someone explicitly saying that, there's enough people who actually believe it's genuine. To the point where people had to start saying, please stop unironically posting Jordan Belfort stuff. He's not a good guy. Yet 10 years on, the man's name is already made. He has 3.7 million followers on TikTok. And it doesn't take a lot of scrolling to find people quoting the movie back to him, asking for advice. Which is crazy because the movie doesn't endorse Jordan's behavior at all. For all the glitz and glam and excitement, everything falls apart. Jordan loses the company, his wife, he goes to jail. The film isn't celebrating this, it's an indictment. I mean, the movie starts with him listing every drug he's on. I mean, even for the seemingly good stuff, he's not a reliable narrator. But of course, you can buy a Wolf of Wall Street NFT, a Stratton Oakmont hat, the Wolf of Wall Street immersive experience. And yet the movie knows that. It knows it's going to be misunderstood, especially with that masterful final shot. After getting out of jail, Jordan delivers a sales seminar to a packed audience, and the camera turns from him and glides over the audience. And it's the camera being turned back on us, who've watched it, enjoyed it, idealized it. I'm sure that audience doesn't want to break the law, but they do want to be more like him. If you were to look at Letterboxd and guess the most watched movies on there, you'd probably guess The Avengers, Titanic, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings. The Wolf of Wall Street is higher than all of those. And for good reason, it's a fantastic film. But as more people come of age and start discovering this film, it's only going to get more interesting to see how it's referenced for all the wrong reasons.